Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Church, where our mission is to explore the eternal, nurture community, and pursue the common good. We welcome you in your brokenness and in your wholeness. No matter who you have been, who you are, or who you are becoming, we greet you today with love. I'd like to extend a special welcome to everyone who is watching us on YouTube this morning. During the prelude, please introduce yourself in the comments and let us know where you're joining from. If you're in OKC, what neighborhood are you in? Or if you're elsewhere, what city are you in? And by the way, I'm Lori Jervis, and I am currently chair of Committee on Ministry. I have long gray hair, and I'm wearing a black top. And also a special welcome to anyone who's new or visiting. And now, the prelude prepares us for worship. We light our chalice here in our building in Midtown, Oklahoma City. Who is lighting our chalice? All right. We are on land that was home to indigenous peoples, including the Apache, Caddo, and Wichita, and on land that was taken from the Muskogee, Seminole, and other removed and relocated peoples. We light the chalice as a symbol of our sacred time together. The burning chalice represents the light of reason and science, the warmth of loving community, and the cleansing heat of justice.
Again, welcome. I am Reverend Sue Redfern Campbell, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. For those in our community who are blind or visually impaired, or who are joining us online without video, I am a short Euro-American woman. I have short brown and gray hair. I'm wearing a navy jacket and a rainbow stole. And I have my red cane with me, and I have red glasses. Here at First Unitarian, there is a commitment to sharing our pronouns and offering our self-descriptions. This is part of the effort to ensure that no one is excluded from full participation in the life of our church. In this spirit of inclusion, our sanctuary is equipped with a telecoil hearing loop system, and please see your hearing aid provider to learn how to access it. We also have large print orders of service and hymnals available at the back of the sanctuary. Now, the printer broke down this morning before too many orders of service could be printed, so please share with those next to you. if there's somebody who doesn't have one. And we'll try to just announce everything as we go along, too. So in that order of service, and you'll also find them on our website, you'll find brief announcements of upcoming events at the church. If you would like contact information for the people listed, Marlies Grog, in the church office, can help you with that. In addition, let me just remind you of two events happening today. First, we have our church's 2024 annual meeting, which is here in the sanctuary right after the service, I guess after a short break. And then at 6 p.m., we take part in the Pride on 39th parade. You are invited to come march with us. We'll assemble around starting at 5 o'clock. And if walking is an issue, you can also ride on the parade float, such as it is. And this is the first of 2 Oklahoma City Pride parades in June. So this is Pride on 39th. And now, Marilee Perriam has a special announcement about next week's Voice Accountability session.
Good morning. I am Marilee Perriam. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a white woman in my 40s with long brown hair, wearing a white shirt and a pink sweater. I'm here to talk briefly about the Voice Accountability session happening next Sunday at 4 p.m. here in the sanctuary. If you're interested in learning about the 6 candidates for State District 46 and House District 88, definitely come. But even if you aren't interested, or if they aren't in your district, I'm asking you to please come for a bigger reason. That reason is to empower this organization that works effectively to improve the lives of individuals and families in our communities. Voice is an organization that brings together people from many different religious congregations and institutions here in Oklahoma. We build relationships and come together to work on issues that directly affect the people in our congregations and communities. So much of politics is influenced by the ultra-wealthy or mega corporations. Voice is the counterbalance to that. It's bringing together regular people to pool our power and our voices to make a difference in what matters most to us. When those 6 candidates come next Sunday, we want them to see this sanctuary packed with voters who are paying attention, so that when 2 of them go on to become our elected officials, they know that Voice is an organization they must pay attention to and sit down and work with. Please, after the service today, go to the hall and sign up to come. We need each individual to show up. If you have questions, please ask me, Maureen, Marshall, Sandra, or another Voice leader after the service. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilee. As we continue to settle into this sacred time together, let's take a deep breath, or maybe 2 or 3. Let go of whatever might be getting in the way of just being present, distractions about broken printers or similar. And now I would invite you with me to keep centering in with these words from the Reverend Marjorie Bowens Wheatley. You will find them in the back of Singing the Living Tradition at number 576. And I invite you to find them and then say the italicized words responsively with me as I say the non-italicized. If, recognizing the interdependence of all life, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. If you are black and I am white, If you are female and I am male, if you are older and I am younger, if you are progressive and I am conservative, if you are straight and I am gay, if you are Christian and I am Jewish, if we join spirits as siblings, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter. In the Spirit, we build community and move toward restoration. Our opening hymn is number 360 in Singing the Living Tradition. Here we have gathered, and I'm happy to have Becky Talent as our song leader today. Please be seated.
Bonjour, and good morning.
distinguished guests, esteemed members and visitors to First Unitarian Church, welcome to our annual Employee Recognition Ceremony. My name is Courtney Custer. Kate Elliott and I are co-chairs of the Human Resources Working Group, and we're joined at the podium today by HRWG members Susan Bishop, Scott Harvey, Laura Lochner, and joined in spirit by HRWG member Todd Hildebrandt, who's watching on YouTube. Today, our Time for All Ages is set in Paris at the Olympics. We celebrate today the outstanding achievements of our dedicated staff. We believe that showing appreciation for each other is a core value that adults and children alike in our congregation can do together. Join us at the 1UC Paris Olympics as we recognize the remarkable performances of our transitional minister, Reverend Sue, religious explorer Tim, office administrator Marlise, choir director Ibuka, and accompanist Steve. The Olympic motto in Latin is Citius, Altius, Fortius, Communitaire. In English, that is faster, higher, stronger, together. The motto was established in 1894, close to the time this church was founded. Faster, higher, and stronger are exactly the traits that our staff has exhibited that make us successful and continue to bring us together. Over the last year, our employees have become faster at technology, they've reached new musical highs, and they've strengthened families. They've brought us along with them. First up, we gratefully recognize that Reverend Diana has passed the torch to Reverend Sue, and that torch still shines strong. Transitional Minister Sue, embodying the precision and grace of a fencer, faces challenges head on. She is navigating our church through big changes. Sue's ministerial guidance always hits the mark, providing wisdom and compassion when we need it the most. Sue, you are our gold medalist, keeping our spirits high and community strong. Wave your flags for Sue.
Religious educator Tim, steady as a marathon runner, guiding us on the path of spiritual enlightenment. Or running. Like an Olympic table tennis champ, Tim bounces from one task to another, recruiting teachers for religious exploration, organizing Chalice Camp, representing us at the state capitol, and leading our congregation on the path of religious exploration. Tim's enthusiasm and creativity are infectious, inspiring both young and old. Tim, you're our gold medalist in creating safe spaces for our children, youth, and families. Wave your flags for Tim. Next we have our office administrator, Marlise, whose organizational skills are as sharp as an archer's aim, ensuring smooth operations for our congregation.
Marlise. We see you.
Come on. Come on, Marlise.
She's waving. She's waving from back there.
The price is right. Come on down.
Let's celebrate our Olympic champion of multitasking, Marlise. As communications central at the church, Marlise keeps us all connected with the precision of an Olympic archer. She also wrangles the auction with the finesse of a synchronized diver and herds UU cats with the agility of a gymnast. Her ability to manage everything from event coordination to daily tasks makes her indispensable. Marlise, you're our gold medalist in keeping everyone and everything running smoothly and efficiently. Your dedication and hard work keep our church thriving. And we couldn't do it without you. Wave your flags for Marlise.
Now choir director Ibuka, who I guess is with us in spirit, whose passion and leadership unite us in song and celebration, much like the Olympic spirit itself. Da, 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 da. Just like an Olympic coach, he conducts our choir and congregation through hymns with perfect precision. Ebuka's skill in choosing the best music and uncovering hidden treasures in the UU hymnal deserves a spot on the Olympic podium. His dedication and enthusiasm inspire all of us to lift our voices in harmony. Ebuka, you're the true champion of our hearts and hymns and our gold medalist in musical leadership. Wave your flags for Ebuka.
Finally, our musical master, Stephen. As a keyboard virtuoso, Stephen dazzles us every Sunday with his exceptional talent. This mustache just makes it hard to talk. On the piano, organ, and electronic keyboard. Pantomime, playing the piano. Yeah, obviously. I'm not looking at my script, yes. Okay. Each Sunday, he opens our services with a perfect piano chime, setting the tone for a meaningful and uplifting experience. Whether he's playing the piano, organ, or electronic keyboard, Stephen's versatility and skill shine through. He hits every chord like an Olympic gymnast, sticking a landing, always ready to enhance our worship with his music. Stephen, your dedication and talent are the heartbeat of our services, and you inspire us with your music. You are our gold medalist in musical performance. Wave your flags for Stephen. Yay! Let's give a round of applause and big flag waves to our incredible staff, Tim, Reverend Sue, Marlise, Ebuka, and Stephen, for their outstanding performances in the 1UC Paris Olympics. Their dedication, passion, and teamwork inspire us all to reach for the gold.
Not only do we have these First Unitarian Olympians in our midst, but the Oklahoma City Metro has other Olympian ties as well. There are a number of Oklahoma Olympians, including Shannon Miller from Edmond, Jim Thorpe, and dozens of others. Do you know that the Olympic rowing tryouts were held not far from here out of the river sport just a few weeks ago? While we were unable to get Reverend Sue and the gang a spot on the Olympic rowing team, the HR working group is pleased to present each staff member a gift certificate for an Oklahoma River cocktail cruise. One Friday or Saturday night from June until September, our employees can relax and experience unique views of the Boathouse District, the Wheeler, Ferris wheel, and possibly an amazing Oklahoma sunset. Oh, if only we could see a sunset. Did you know that the Olympic rings represent the 5 inhabited continents, the Americas being one, and the interconnection represents the union of the 5 continents and the meeting of athletes from throughout the world at the Olympic Games? We just happen to have 5 outstanding staff members who are also interconnected in their service to the church and the larger community. In the spirit of rings and circles, each staff member is also receiving a gift card to Full Circle Bookstore. And now we will pass the torch back to Reverend Sue and let the festivities continue with our heartfelt gratitude and admiration for each and every one of you. Viva First Unitarian Church of Oklahoma City.
Thank you so much. And the appreciations continue as our board president, Marcia Woodward, presents the Member of the Year Award.
We have this year actually 2 members of the year, because there were 2 people who deserved it and we just couldn't choose between them. The first one is not here today, but we'll sing her praises anyway, because I'm sure she'll watch this eventually on YouTube. The first one is Maureen Harvey. Maureen, as you probably know, sings in the choir, is a worship associate, and is chair of not one, but two very important organizations this year, Voice and Alliance. Plus, she runs a really good jewelry workshop. So this is Maureen's plaque that we'll be giving to her. And the second person, I think, has no idea that this is coming. This one is for Courtney Custer. Where is Courtney? Courtney does so many things, big and small. She's in the bell choir. She's a worship associate. She has always been active in the RE program. This year, she volunteered at Chalice Camp, and she is co-chair of the Human Resources Working Group. Courtney is a leader in everything she does, basically. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Fenton Rude. I'm active with the Sustainable Living Organization. I'm white, I'm old and in the way, wearing an orange shirt and a multicolored vest. So every Sunday we take an offering, and since 2002, all the cash and designated checks from that offering have gone directly to external nonprofit organizations doing good work, our Change for Change partners. For the month of June, our Change for Change partner is Oklahoma City Beautiful. One of the ways that I live my faith is I serve on the board of Oklahoma City Beautiful. And I'd like to introduce Casey Meek, our education coordinator, to tell us about the new school garden project that we will be supporting this month.
Thank you, Fenton. Like Fenton said, my name is Casey Meek, and I'm the Education Director for OKC Beautiful. I am in my mid-20s, I have short brown hair, and I'm wearing a long black skirt and a black and brown long sleeve shirt. But I just wanted to introduce OKC Beautiful. We are an environmental nonprofit where we focus on education and building our built environment, so tree plantings, litter cleanups, things like that. But specifically, I oversee our school garden program, and we're really excited to expand this program to Esperanza Elementary, which is located southwest 35th and Lynn. And that's a really unique program where we have a paid garden educator that maintains a garden on site with the students and does monthly lessons. So these students, about 400 students additionally, will be able to have those monthly garden lessons, see food grown, have those experiences, and learn about a bunch of different varieties of topics that kind of intertwine with the academics. So I just want to say thank you so much, First Unitarian Church, for supporting us, and I'll be after in the sustainability table if you want to chat. Thank you.
So for those of you in the sanctuary with us today, in just a moment we'll be passing the offering plate. We know that many of you prefer to mail in a check or make your donations to Change for Change online. You can always make your gift by mailing a check to First Unitarian Church. Just write Change for Change on the memo line, or make an online payment through our website, oneuc.org.
Continuing in the spirit of the meditation from Thais, I invite you into a time of meditation, spoken and then silent. The setting for our silent meditation comes from the Reverend Sophia Lyon Foz. She was a pioneer religious educator, Unitarian and then Unitarian Universalist. She lived to be 102. We gather in reverence before the wonder of life, the wonder of this moment, the wonder of being together, so close and yet in some ways apart, each hidden in our own secret chamber, each listening, each trying to speak and understand, yet none ever fully understanding, none ever fully understood. We gather in reverence before all intangible things that eyes see not, nor ears can detect, that hands can never touch, that space cannot hold, and time cannot measure. Let us be together in silence for just a few moments of reverence. So be it. In his book of modern-day teaching fables, called Friedman's Fables, Rabbi Edwin Friedman tells the story of baby Bird and his parents. And if you were in church 2 weeks ago, you heard the story. The bird family inhabits a tree somewhere in the forest. After raising many broods and successfully fledging them, Mr. and Mrs. Bird assume that their last remaining bird, baby bird's passage will be similar. But this baby bird either can't or won't get with the program. After 1 or 2 failed launches in which his parents swoop down and rescue him from going splat on the ground, he refuses to leave the nest. And he digs in saying, "I'll be damned if I'm going to flap my wings just because they want me to." And this happens time after time until long after fledging would have been expected. Only when his parents stop hovering and nagging him, in fact, they mysteriously disappear, does baby bird take flight. So in thinking about this story, what are your impressions? Do you identify with any of the 3 characters? Perhaps you identified with Mr. and Mrs. Bird. If so, do you think that baby Bird was irresponsible? Did he have a bad attitude? Was he the cause of his parents' worry? Or perhaps your sympathies went naturally to baby. Were the parents the cause of his difficulties? Were they over-involved? Were they nagging? Were they overprotective? Did the trouble lie in the way they were raising him? Was he the product of a dysfunctional family? Well, those explanations all have something in common. They analyze the situation in terms of cause and effect. And that's the way most of us have learned to think. We tend to dissect situations in a linear way, looking for the one thing that caused the problem. And once the cause is isolated, we can diagnose and treat it. And often that means blaming someone or something. And that might be reasonable if we're in the business, say, of repairing simple machines. But with human beings, it may not work so well. Finding one person to blame can be destructive. It can divide us from one another. Sometimes it becomes chronic and labels someone for life as a problem person. The good news is that there's another way of viewing interpersonal situations, a way that I think is more accurate and more humane. It's called systems theory, and you have probably encountered some version of it, for it is as old as the Tao Te Ching and also one of the most important intellectual developments of the 20th century. It's applied to history, the sciences, sports, family therapy, and even congregational studies. Systems theory doesn't see parts in isolation. Rather, it sees each one as connected to the whole. Rather than seeing linear cause and effect, that A caused B, which caused C, which caused D and E, it looks at all five as part of a web or network where each component interacts with every other. Our Unitarian Universalist principles reflect systems thinking when they speak of the interdependent web of all existence. When a spider's web moves, the entire web adjusts to rebalance itself. A vibration in any part is felt throughout. In the 1950s, a Menninger Foundation psychiatrist named Murray Bowen had the intuition that families are like webs. Back then, psychiatrists were discouraged from contacting their patients' families. That was thought to interfere with the healing process. But Murray Bowen was curious about his patients' families and decided to study them. And in doing this, he began to see the whole family as an emotional unit, not as an aggregate, a collection of individuals. The behavior of one family member seemed to relate to the behavior of every other. For instance, Dr. Bowen observed that no family started out with strong or weak members. But sometimes one family member would naturally display weakness, and another would therefore become strong to compensate. And this encouraged the so-called weak family member to become even weaker. If not caught and interrupted, this dynamic could spiral downward so that the weakness became chronic. Other examples: one family member would insist on making all the decisions, rendering other members completely indecisive, or one member would become highly emotional, and to balance things out, another would retreat into being extremely rational. And I have that in quotes. In your relationships, you may have noticed a similar dynamic with issues of closeness and distance, which come up all the time. If one family member wants more closeness, another backs away, saying they need more space. In response, the first person may keep trying, but eventually give up and withdraw. And when the first person who wanted closeness withdraws, they might find the other suddenly moving toward them in hot pursuit. This dynamic even has a name, named after Dr. Bowen. It's the Bowen two-step. So how do we apply this analysis to our friends, the birds? We can start by simply observing what's going on and not trying to diagnose or blame. As one slogan puts it, more curiosity, less judgment. If we suspend judgment, we may begin to notice a few things. We may notice, for instance, that the emotional playing field in this family is pretty intense. Up until now, the Bird family has been pretty calm. All the kids have left the nest on schedule. But with their youngest baby, something has changed. And it turns out that for the first time, Mom and Dad Bird are really eager to get on with their lives. So they not only want their youngest offspring to leave for his sake, they also need him to leave for their sake. But then something else is happening, for the anxiety not only escalates, it redistributes itself. Baby becomes anxious about flying and refuses to take responsibility for himself, but why should he take responsibility? Mom and Dad are taking enough and doing enough worrying for all three of them. Emotionally, it might be said that they are over-functioning. In family therapy lingo, then, Baby Bird is the identified patient. He is the one a casual observer would pick as the one with the problem, but he's really only the symptom bearer. The issue really belongs to the whole family. And the longer Baby's problem becomes the focus of attention, the worse it gets. So rather than try to fix things, maybe the best approach would be to relax and back off, as Mom and Dad Bird finally do. So that story only begins to give us the flavor of systems thinking. It's an invitation to explore the workings of our most important relationships, including perhaps the ones we have in this congregation. When we look at our families as systems, many factors come into play. There's our place in the birth order, for example. And if we're the oldest child, just again, a hypothetical, our younger siblings may have had a completely different experience of our family than we did growing up, and so they may respond differently. Another factor is our family's history. When we were growing up, what other events were taking place in the family and in the world, and how did those things affect our family's emotional climate? For example, if a grandparent died the year we were born, how did it affect the way our parents responded to us? Family patterns can be handed down from generation to generation. The reasons our families are the way they are may be lost in time. I'd just like to give you a personal example of that. I had always been afraid that I didn't really belong to my own immediate family. I was the odd one out, since I'm the only one who's never had children. But then, as part of a year-long seminar, I made a chart called a genogram. It included my extended family on both sides, going back 6 generations. And in the process, I learned that precious few of the first grandchildren in the family had ever had kids of their own. For mysterious reasons, first grandchildren in my family are rarely the domestic ones. Rather, we are the ones to leave home and go on adventures. Giving birth and raising children, also great adventures, but of a different kind, was what other siblings did. For me, it was incredibly healing to realize, as the oldest grandchild on both sides of my family, that I'm not so weird after all. Or if I am, it's not because of what I thought. I'm simply carrying on a venerable family tradition by not having kids of my own. From then on, I began to feel less lonely, not only in my family, but also in other parts of my life. I did belong after all. So how has your family shaped you? We can get some clues to our family's gravitational pull by noticing what happens inside us when we go home to visit our families. When you visit yours, if you do you feel comfortable being fully yourself? Can you express your thoughts and feelings freely in a calm way? Or do you find yourself tightening up with nothing to say? Do you find yourself feeling small and diminished, your real self on hold? And if it's your parents you're visiting, do you feel you've been changed like magic into a 13-year-old, even if you're 60 and they are 90? If so, take heart. It's a common story. You're not alone. But if we experience that loss of freedom with our families of origin, how do we deal with it? There are a few strategies I can think of that really don't help. For example, we may come to family gatherings in combat mode. We're determined this time things will be different. We'll fix our families once and for all, and they'll be oh so grateful. So if you've tried that, how did it work for you? Didn't work real well for me, I'll tell you. Or we might withdraw from our families, even give up on them. Sometimes we do this by adopting the geographic cure, moving far away. Or if physical distance isn't possible, we withdraw eternally. We maintain a polite facade at family gatherings and go to our chosen families of friends for our real relationships. And I quickly add, it's sometimes withdrawal is absolutely necessary for our own physical and emotional safety. But even when cutting ourselves off keeps us safe and protected, it may not solve everything. For if we don't understand the ways we carry our families around with us, we can unwittingly repeat old patterns. We can bring a desperate intensity to our chosen families, including our church family, trying to get from our friends and lovers what our parents couldn't give us. So understanding our family patterns can help us navigate new relationships, even when face-to-face contact with our parents or others is unsafe. In my life, family systems thinking helps me belong to my family of origin while also staying true to myself and my values. Dr. Bowen called this differentiation, being a self while being still in relationship. Imperfectly, I've learned to stay connected without attacking and without retreating. Imperfectly, I've learned to take a deep breath and react less when my buttons are pushed. I've learned maybe to pause and then ask a question or two. Therapist Ron Richardson recommends taking a research stance towards our family of origin. More curiosity, less judgment again. We can approach our families in the spirit of inquiry, maybe even pretending we're an anthropologist. If our parents are still living, we might ask them something like, "What keeps you awake at night?" Or, "What was it like to be a child in your family?" This gives us something to talk about beyond the weather and beyond contentious politics. Such a relief, right? And in the process, we can go deeper, better understanding our families, connecting with them, perhaps understanding ourselves as well. So how can this work help us in our life here at church? I promised I'd say something about that. Rabbi Friedman lays out a basic principle. Everything that has been said about emotional process in personal families is equally applicable to emotional process in churches and synagogues. These too are families. They function as organic structures in their own right. But religious institutions not only function like families, they also contain families. Indeed, they often derive their very structure from families. Thus, personal families and church families plug right into one another. One of the families our church contains is the internal one we bring with us. That is, the dynamics we carry from our own family system. And so the more conscious we become of those dynamics, the more likely we are to respond rather than react to issues in the church. The greater our awareness, the more we can approach disagreements in a respectful, problem-solving, non-blaming way. If we find ourselves feeling reactive to a given situation at church, if we find ourselves more upset than seemed warranted by the situation itself, we could ask ourselves, does this remind me of anything else? Something from my family, perhaps? And even this small act of self-reflection can help us feel calmer about whatever is upsetting us, can give us some distance from something that feels fraught. I'd like to leave you with just one more personal story. Back in the 1990s, I started asking research questions of my various family members, and this felt urgent since my mom had a life-threatening illness and no one really knew how much time she had left. The summer before she died, I hit a vein of gold. That is, I stumbled on a family secret. At one level, it shocked me. At another, it made complete, intuitive sense. I had been trying to find out more about my grandfather's alcoholism, which I'd heard about but never heard discussed. This in itself had been a long-kept family secret. And then one of my sisters let it drop in conversation that our sainted grandfather had spent a year in prison after being stopped once too often for DWI. And this had happened, furthermore, not in the deep, dark past before I was born, but in 1952, when I was 6. When I first heard that, I had to pick myself up off the floor, but then I began to put things together. It was as though a missing puzzle piece had been supplied, and now the other pieces were falling in around it. I remembered the high anxiety I felt about school when I was 6. I also remembered the unexplained gap in summer trips to Iowa, where Mom's parents lived. And most important, my mom's relationship to me had changed around that time. She had suddenly become very severe, preoccupied with our family being normal. Never mind that adult children of alcoholics don't always know what normal is. Suddenly, I understood my mother in a new way. Compassion and appreciation welled up as I realized the pain she must have experienced. And in an instant, a barrier fell between us. Family secrets hold such power over us. That secret had existed underground for almost 40 years before it came to light in my generation. I wonder what healing it might have brought had it had been uncovered earlier, or if it had never been a secret to begin with. This is just one example of the power of family systems work. When we find the courage to engage our families, we may begin to break the power of helpful or destructive patterns. We may begin to see our parents as fallible, struggling human beings, somewhat like ourselves. We may even begin to feel a little less alone. And in this lies the promise of freedom, I believe. Not the freedom of wandering alone with no restrictions, not the so-called freedom of baby bird not to flap his wings. Rather, the freedom of understanding who we are and where we started and how far we've come, and of acting more and more from our deepest, most authentic selves. And when we find that freedom, then we've really begun to soar. May it be so. So now, I'd like to invite you to join in singing Fred Small's great song, Everything Possible. Our choir sang it as an anthem 2 Sundays ago, and now you get a chance to sing it. The music is found in the turquoise hymnal, Singing the Journey, at number 1019. And to make things more complicated, the lyrics have a new verse 2, which Fred Small created in order to make the song more fully inclusive. So Becky Talland and Steve Kennedy will help us navigate Everything Possible.
What I thought we would do is we'll sing the first verse, and when we get to the second verse and the new lyrics, we'll do that twice. We'll just do the verse, abruptly stop, and then go back to that so that we can really incorporate these words into our understanding of this great song.
Tucked you in tight
Okay, let's do the second verse again. Let's go back to some children. Ready? Some children grow up strong and bold, while some are quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some take it slow, some go in their own way and hide. Some women love women, some men love men, some move every way they will behind. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible you'll find. Don't be read up by names, by taunts, by games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they'll give the same back to you. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love wherever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself, you can gather friends around, you can choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done.
As Lori Jervis extinguishes the flame, I say these words: we extinguish this flame, but not the light of love and community which burns on in our hearts. So go your ways, actually stay for the annual meeting, please. But take a little break, remembering that the love we leave behind is the only measure, really, of our words and our deeds. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth, that we are not alone. Blessed be.